Hi, I'm Nancy, and you're watching the Goat Rodeo Fiesta podcast from dreary, dull, rainy Michigan today. It'll be beautiful this weekend, I promise. Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm also N-L-I-E-D-E-L on Ravelry. Goat Rodeo Fiber is where you can find the show notes. Show notes. Write them out ahead of time. Use half. You can find me on Ravelry as N. Lydell, as I said. You can find Goat Rodeo Fiber, the notes, thegoatrodiofiber.com. And I have a shop that updates every Friday night at 6 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time right now at Lydell, L-I-E-D-E-L, fiber.com. Lydell Fiber. So, let's see. This week we're going to talk about knitting, sewing, what's off my needles, what's on my needles, what's up next. And thank you if you're a new viewer, and thank you for coming back. Really, thank you. If you're a returning viewer, it means a lot to me. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. So let's talk about ubiquity. That's where I talk about tea, just like every other podcast. Ubiquitous tea, ubiquity. Get it? If I'm not the first one to make that joke, I'm sorry. I really did come up with that one on my own. It's not tea. It's water flavored with a little bit of flavor with stevia in it, just to keep me drinking water all day. And I find that I need that. So, first thing I need is to make correction. This hat that I talked about in the last podcast was made from Fiberspace Scrumptious Decay. And I still don't remember the name of the colorway. I have 3 colorways: biscuit, natural, and this one. And can I remember this one? No, not for the life of me. Can I find the tag? No, not for the life of me. It's because I balled it all up, you know, like you do. Caked it up. And tucked the labels inside, like you do, all the time. And then proceeded to have one of my children, who thought he was being helpful, this was a teenager, take all the labels out and put them in little piles so I could put them in a notebook. And I'm like, but I don't know what label goes to my yarn. Well, can't you just tell by looking? Have you seen how much yarn I have? Please. Let's talk about what's off my needles. And I have 2 finished objects. I'm so excited. The first one is my lattice shawl. Yeah, it's a different color than I was knitting it in. Can you tell? Did you notice that? I decided I liked the pink, I liked the 3-ply, but I wanted to knit it on something that I could, you know, wear to a show, to show off my yarn colorway. And this is such an easy, fabulous knit. This is Maria Monska's lattice shawl from Stitched in Sweden podcast, which I very much enjoy. My maiden name is Swedish, so I'm Swedish and part half Swedish, and I enjoy very much watching her podcast. But one of the things, I made a couple of mistakes. They're not life enders, and so I continued on. You can hear cats about. Cats. They're here. You don't always see them, but they're here. This is, I did yarn overs in the middle and yarn overs along the top rather than make ones, because I've mentioned before, make ones and I just don't get along. I'll do it if I have to, but if I can make it way not to. And I actually prefer it this way too, because this was really, even though it's merino cashmere nylon, this is my Stolen Souls colorway and the Isle Royal fingering, which is my MCN base. This is the easiest, funnest knit. I think I put this on my needles last week sometime, and then I pulled it off and recast it on because I didn't like the make ones, so I decided to redo that. So I'd gotten most of the way through. When you get to this first lace section, it is what I call typewriter knitting. And what that is and in old typewriters, for those of you who don't know what that is, before we had the computer, you would have to hit the carriage return, ka-chunk. So you do the lace side, and then you knit all the way back. You don't purl, you just knit back. Ka-chunk. Think. Watch TV, read a book, read a book. think, 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 think. Read a book, read a book, read a book, watch TV. It's great. This edging, yeah, it is half the shawl. There's no doubt in my mind. It's almost as much yardage as in the regular shawl. The thing is, the only thing I wish is it was bigger. I know, right? It's big enough? No, I like big shawls. So I'm actually thinking about doing this again in another color. I don't know. This has got a couple mistakes in it, so do I want to knit one that I can use at shows in the same colorway? I don't know. Don't know. Don't know. Don't know. So I'm going to play around with that. I've got extra yarn here. I'm sitting on it. It's caked up, ready to go. I'm just like, you know, I have, this is what's left of the second skein, and I have a whole third one and another fourth one. So I really could do it with an extra row of this lace repeat and still have enough left to do the edging. So I don't know. But that's going on hiatus because right now I started another one in another yarn. I really love this pattern. Really love this pattern. And it's like the perfect kind of like sitting down during the day. I don't have, you know, I think about it, I don't think about it. There's nothing super advanced, so I can concentrate on other things. I like multiple projects on my needles, like 5 or 6. I'm ridiculous that way. But this just took no time at all, and I really got into it. Really got into it. The other thing off my needles, and this has been a real education for me. When you own a business doing with something that you're making, you need to use what you make, because if you don't, you, at least a little bit, at least your basis if you're dyeing, you don't know if you like something until you've knit it. And one of the things is this sport weight yarn. It's merino nylon, 80/20 sport, 2-ply sport weight yarn. And this is a colorway that I thought I'd lost the notes on, found the notes on, tweaked the notes on, I'll be able to do again. So I'm kind of happy with this colorway. It's still in testing stage. I just make shorty socks because look at the length of that foot. Look, this is my foot. My foot is like a ski. It's so long, sized in women's. And this comes up well past my ankles. And it doesn't ruffle. They've not been washed yet. And then I noticed yesterday I dropped a stitch, so I had to sew that back up. But I have the pair. And my sock blocker is not anywhere near to be found. But as we've discussed before, I'm really horrific at blocking socks. I was going to block this out perfectly, but I need more blocking boards, and I also need a cat-free zone to do it in, because cats and blocking don't go together. I usually do my shawls in half, but that one, because of the way it's done with the points, it's not going to do halvesies easy. So I finished this pair. So now I am up to, and this is just 2x2 rib, my favorite. So now I've got all these easy socks done, and now I'm ready to start something more complicated. So, and I did these on size 3s with the fish lips kiss heel. I'm kind of wishing I'd done 2.5s, but don't worry, this too can be fixed. So where am I? 1. No name on this colorway. I think it's going to be Flora Ann, because it's my mother-in-law's name. These are her favorite colors, except it's got some tweaking to do. This is a second pair. I did these. These I did not do a surprisingly stretchy bind off. Most of these are toe up, 2 at a time. I wish I'd done a surprisingly stretchy bind off, because I'm having a tough time with them. And they get on, but it's a struggle. It's my own fault. I don't want to unbind them and rebind them either. I've thought about it, and I don't want to do that, because that's just inviting disaster for me. So these are 2, and I do wear them. 3, these are my boot socks in my Violence colorway, Violet Tense. Violet Tense. Violence. Never mind. It's all of my colorways are kind of jokes. These, my blusher veil, these. This is from, this yarn's 2x2 toe up, bottom down, sorry. My favorite, without a doubt, socks that I've knit so far. Hands down, no questions asked, dead on, absolute favorite socks. The yarn is from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. and they are fabu. And I just wish I remember the name of the colorway. It's not Carrick's Treasure, it's not Ice Palace, and I can't remember what it is, but I love this, and I've got it in my notes somewhere in Ravelry. I just have to find it. It's her Bounce Base, but I just can't remember what it is. Then I have two made out of Dream in Color Smushy Canary Cape. The ones my husband felted terribly, but they still fit. They don't look like they're going to fit. They fit. They really do. And they're very comfortable, and they're warm. They're so warm, they're almost slippers. So these, it's MCN, and then I did the 2x2. So I have two of these. So 1, 2, 3. This is my fine wine colorway, WHINE. These, which I'm working on a pattern for. I have the same problem as Mina Phillip, who I have a bone to pick with. I'll talk to you about that in a little bit. Has something to do with the name of the podcast. These are a little lacy pattern. In the 80s, there's a period of time where we wore, and I am not kidding you, and if you are my age, you remember this, pantyhose, skirts, pumps, and little socks. I like the sock part a lot. So this is a sock pattern I designed, and I'm currently in the process of trying to figure out what to do with the heel. Like Mina Phillip is trying to figure out what to do with her heels. This is probably the best Fish Lips Kiss peel I have, and I do recommend buying that pattern. I mean, I really recommend buying that pattern. I mean, I'm just like, it's a great pattern. Ravelry has fabulous support for the pattern on there from people who love this pattern. It may not be your cup of tea. My friend Julie would never knit a Fish Lips Kiss heel. It's not really her thing. So this is my Blusher Veil colorway. And this has a stellina in the base, but because it's gold stellina and the pink washes out the gold. It's different colors work better with different stellinas, I found out the hard way. Because like on these, I don't know if you can see this, see this? These just sparkle and shine. This is fine wine. Fish Lips Kiss heel, I was at a friend's house, I didn't want to bind off because I didn't have another knitting project, so I just kept going up the leg. Normally I never ever wear socks this tall. I mean, like, these are about right for my cuffs. If you notice my other socks, you know, these are a little longer, these are a little shorter, you know, I like my cuffs to be fairly short. I'm not quite crew cuff, but I mean like little socks, but I like short socks. So that makes a total of 8 pairs in my in my box of socks, which means my box is full of socks. So Monday night we went to Joann's, no, Wednesday, because it was the last day of the sale, like you do, hoping to get a box because they were on sale, the big boxes with the lids. But we have 2 Joann's near us. One is 3 miles, one is 9 miles. But the one that's 9 miles away is 40 minutes because of traffic. Right now we've got some freeways closed around Ann Arbor because they're doing construction all summer. Michigan, we have, let's see, we have spring, summer, winter, fall, mud season, which can come at any time. And then we have construction season, which is anytime it's not mud season or winter. And so my box is full. So I went to get a new box, and they were out of everything I liked. They had one there that was just not my taste. So I have to wait to get the right box for the bigger box. And then I will use this to put something else in. I don't know what. Something fancy and schmancy, I'm sure. Probably the recipes for my diagram was. So that's what's off my needles. A pair of socks, now down to 8 pair. Up to 8 pair, not down to. Down to 4. So I figure if I knit 2 more pair, then and it's April, if I'm doing the box of socks and along from Kristen from Vollenvine, it's 12 pair in a year, and you can wear them. I checked with her, you can wear them throughout the year. Then I will be good to go for more fancy socks. Brings me to, I have nothing on the needles. Except the sock for my son, which I am still working on, and I really have to finish this by May 2nd, which means I really have to dig in and do this. Again, size 11 foot. I have another 2 inches to go before I can decrease. Then it's a bit of yarn chickeniness going on here because I don't know if I'm going to be able to start it in the same spot, and to him that's going to be very important. So I'm trying to do this in time for one sock for his birthday and then the other one fairly soon after, and that's May 2nd. So it's not my favorite sock I've ever knit. I have to be honest. I like the Schopel. I don't know why this colorway, it makes me happy in the cake, and then once I started knitting it, it didn't make me as happy. I don't know why. I'm weird that way. The happiest color for me is green, but it just makes me look like death. You know. So I'm working on that. I'm getting somewhere. And then I was making something else out of my Tash Merino Light Medallia colorway. And I didn't like it. It was sort of a formula that I had put together myself. So this is in my Miss Rooney bowl, which I talked about last week, but I'll put in the show notes again this week. And I had to switch out the first stitch marker, and I'll have to make a note on where I got this, but everybody gets stitch markers from this lady. This is my husky. I no longer have my husky, but I have her stitch markers in all these huskies. Because my stitch marker that I made this morning broke. I don't know why. I have to look at it. It shouldn't have, but it did. So I'll have to look at that carefully, because the other ones in the set didn't, but the square one that starts it did. I took my Tash Merino Light in the Dahlia colorway, complete with cat hair, and I cast on under lattice. Why? Well, I'm blaming this one on Mina Phillip from the Knitting Expat. Now, Mina does not know me. Mina's never met me. Mina just knows me as this crazy stalker lady. I'm really not stalkery. I don't have time to stalk. Mina and Stephen West got into brioche. And I wasn't going to do brioche because that looks like work. Okay? That looks like a lot of work. Alright? A lot of work. But then she designed the Le Milieu shawl, which of course I had to buy, because I buy all of Mina's patterns, all of Maria Monska's patterns, all of Willowline patterns, I buy every Jared Flood pattern or from Brooklyn Tweed that I could if I could, which I can't. But I want to. I want all the patterns. I buy all. There's a bunch of people who's Martina Bain, you know the ones. You know the ones, right? Hugh Loco, Nicole from Hugh Loco. I buy her patterns. I buy all the patterns because I just love reading them like books. They're just like, it's like when I used to cook all the time and was a lot larger than I am now, 300 and something pounds at 5'2". Yeah. I bought the Le Milieu shawl pattern. I was gonna look at it and read it, and I wasn't gonna go down the brioche rabbit hole. I wasn't, and I wasn't. Do you think these would make a pretty Le Milieu shawl, the squishy one? This is out of my comfort zone on so many levels. First of all, I am uptight to the point of squeaking about if this yarn comes from this company in this shawl, this yarn has to come from the same company. We do not mix companies here. If it starts out Madeline Tosh, by golly, it's going to stay Madeline Tosh. If it starts out Lidl Fiber Art, by golly, it's going to stay out Lidl Fiber Art. If I buy it from Volavine, it's going to be all Volavine. And Northbound Knitting. I'm looking at you. You crazy Canadians. And the fawn knits. Now I want bags that match the yarn. I'm like really weird about this, okay? I am not only mixing companies, I'm doing brioche. I think I am. Very scared. I'm very scared. I mean, it's like lifelines. I'm like, I have never successfully used a lifeline in my life. I just took all the way back. Oh dear heavens, I don't know how I'm gonna do that with brioche. But, and you gotta color work at all. But this is Indecita from Malabrigo, and this is Iris from Madeline Tosh. And I think together they will make a lovely, variegated and semi-solid mixture for my Le Milieu shawl, the squishy one, even though they're singles and won't squish as much as a puffy one would. Like I'm thinking Brooklyn Tweed would make like the scrummiest brioche shawl ever that would be 10 inches thick of squish, but delightful. because it's so airy, that's the way it's spun. But these are singles, and yes, I'm going to do it. This project, while I sat there and stared at it. I have, across from where I sit, I have a shelf, and on the shelf is my photography kit and a giraffe, because ubiquitous giraffes, and dyes in closed containers have been mixed into water and urea and alcohol yet, because that's how I mix my dyes, and my brushes and pictures of my family, and these. Anything I'm thinking about marrying goes over there and marinates. And I thought, yes, they do make a lovely couple, don't they? Yes, they must go together, don't they? Even though they're different companies, they're both singles. Down the brioche rabbit hole I go. For now, they're living in a bag made for me by Katie from Knitting on the Fly, who was a swap partner at a retreat a couple years ago and just got me in one. I was going to give the bag to my son, because he loves, all spotted cats are ocelots to him. He has autism. But I bought him a stuffed ocelot and kept this bag. Bad mom. But it was given to me in my bag. So that's living there. So when you cast a pair of socks off needles, what do? You cast 2 more pair on, or I'm going to. The first pair I'm going to do on size 1s, and I've wanted to do socks in this for a million years, and I've actually had this yarn since the first year I started buying yarn online. And it's Lorna's Laces Soulmate in the Zombie Barbecue colorway. 2 at a time, toe up. Now, my standard sock formula, which is what I'm going to use for these, is to do the Judy Becker Magic Cast On. 2 at a time, toes up, increase. If I'm using yarn that's a very thin fingering weight like this is, I'll do 32 stitches a side, so 464 each. And then if I'm using like a 2-ply, which is a little thicker, I'll do 1.5s, 30 a side. And that seems to be the right fit for me, 2x2. 2x2 rib. And then I'll do the Magic Super Jenny Surprisingly Stretchy Bind Off, which is surprisingly stretchy. Surprisingly. And is my go-to bind off. So there are my needles. There's my yarn. I'll cast these on today. It's thinner yarn, so these are going to take me a little longer, and I really did finish my son's sock first. Let's go on to Sew Torn. The last couple weeks, Joann's had a sale on their patterns, and a lot of cases I purchased the same patterns I used to wear when I was a size 1 or 0, and I'm not that anymore. I'm obviously not my largest. I've gone down a couple sizes even since I first started podcasting a couple weeks ago. I've lost some weight, and that's been my goal, so that's good. I don't want to be like I was before, between 98 and 100 pounds, and looked like death and misery all the time, unless I was actively smiling, because droopy face, because when you lose a lot of weight, you get that. So, this first pattern is McCall's M6608, and this requires a stretch, and I thought about this, but I need another black skirt, like I need a hole drilled in my brain. It's a cat hair attractant. What I needed was something else. So I did get some pink stretch fabric with this, but I'm thinking now that I look at it, it would make a better dress, and I have 5 yards of it, so I definitely have enough to make a dress out of a wrap dress. So I'm going to hit fabric.com this week and see if there's anything there that just like stuns my mullet. I don't know where else to put it. And I'm going to make this dress, and this actually is lined. It's view D that I'm looking at, and for my size, if you don't sew, you need to look at the measurements, and the measurements are usually in American patterns, and I don't know how it works in the rest of the world. Are in the top part of the envelope here. And they're all redonkulously priced. Wait for a sale, for heaven's sakes, and get something with fabulous reviews, because a good pattern should be something, it's like a good knitting pattern. It should be something that you can happily make, like my 2x2 socks, again and again and again and again and again, and do different things to it, and you're happy with it. I mean, my mother got away with 10 patterns maybe. In fact, there are a couple patterns that I'm looking for that if you have advice about getting patterns that are discontinued, I've looked on Etsy. I'm having a heck of a time. They're Vogue patterns from the 60s and 70s. And I will insert, maybe not this week, next week, I'll pop up pictures of my mom wearing the 2 outfits that I really want patterns for, because I loved those dresses. And she made them. She sewed all the time, and she was brilliant at it. And her idea about sewing was, well, if you can't make it better than you can buy it in the store, there's no point in making it. So you make something that's going to last. And they did. And she always made classic things. It was always, and long skirts go in and out of fashion, but they always come back. And long skirts with a flare to them always come back. And they're always brilliant in the summer, even if you hula hoop like I do, because you can hike them up and tie them or wear them long, and it's actually, to me, it is cooler. There's a reason people in the desert wear long covering clothing. It's cooler than, you know, not. And I have horrible legs. I do. I have ugly legs. I love the skirt, I love the movement on the model. And then, of course, movement in an outfit is beautiful. And it seems to be seasonless. And the fabric it calls for is, you know, stretch. At this pattern, and my waist now, and my hips now, and my waist is much smaller than my hips. Because this pattern is full, I'm going to cut it to my waist size and add some width to the skirt where my hips are by measuring it. I have a dressmaker's dummy for that. Normally, if it's a stretch fabric, you're going to go with the smaller part of your body. Unless you have a very full bust. If it is a not stretched fabric, then you kind of want to adjust down. And that's a hard thing. Grading patterns to fit you is hard, which is why I really suggest, if you're really serious about it, muslins are great. They don't work for stretch fabric. Buy cheap stretch fabric. But you can try it out with that first. Stuff on sale, super cheap. And then invest in your fabric. And have something you love. It's lined. I'm not going to line it. It's cut on the bias. I will do that. That's why it takes so many yards. And it's something I want, but also the shorter skirt, even in the winter with like tights, would be really cute with my ugly legs. And then I got this because I wanted it. This is Simplicity 0774. I don't know. I want it. I don't know how fancy I'm going to get with the tying on it, but I like it. And I'll make it a little shorter because that's just going to cut me in the wrong place. But the pattern that I got, and I actually got this, I got the wrap dress class from Craftsy, and this pattern came with it. This is Butterick 5030, and that's what it does not call for a stretch fabric, but you can make things in stretch fabric without a serger. I know. Heresy. And I'm really liking VUC. It's got a very slimming shape, petal sleeves. It's got some ruching at the shoulder, which is good because my shoulders are very narrow compared to my bust size, which goes up and down as I gain weight or lose it. And the first thing that changes is my bust. If I could only keep that. But I can't. And then view B is cute too, with the longer sleeves, although I think I do them like in this view. So this is a pattern I will use over and over again. I knew it when I bought it. And I got the class because you can always use a touch-up on your sewing skills, in my opinion. I figured this would be good for going out in. The truth is my father's friends are all in their 90s now, and my father-in-laws are in their 80s, and so funerals are going to be happening. They've been happening routinely with my family, and they happen. Funerals and weddings, we get together, we don't, you know. So I figured this would be great for that. And then I kind of want to do it out of a cotton, so I'm going to go to fabric.com next week and really pick. Because I'm almost done with a skirt that I started a couple weeks ago, and I've been really going slow on it. I have to make some bobbins for it and put it in my regular sewing machine. It's all serged. I have a serger and a sewing machine, and I got them both at allbrands.com, and I'm very happy with them, and they're both warranted factory replacements, full warranty. So I have this in black. I also have this fabric with the lycra in it in white from Dharma Trading, and I can dye it any color I want. I do low water immersion dyeing in big under the bed tubs in the summer outside, and I don't sell that fabric. I just dye that fabric for the fun of it because I can. And I don't quite know what colors, but I know this is definitely going to be a dress. I know it. And I may make a jacket to match out of this, because with the wrap dress it would be really cute. I don't know. I may knit something to go with it, but it's not going to be black because I try not to knit with black. Ever. I can't see the stitches. It's frustrating. Today, I wanted to talk about stash appreciation and needing help. And I'm missing one of my colors from her, and I don't know where it is. But I have been purchasing yarn from Wool and Vine since she started dyeing. Oh gosh, it's been almost 2 years now. I don't know, year and a half. I don't know. I know her website went live not less than a year ago, but she was on Etsy before that. I initially bought this. This is was her way of fingering. I don't think she sells this anymore. It has silk in it, and she doesn't make this colorway anymore, but it's beautiful. I thought about a Vildesmeer, which is her pattern out of that. See, she made the patterns, the yarn. I don't know if it's sea colory enough, or if I want to just sit on her site on a Friday night like an idiot and wait to see if I can possibly get a succulents. One day I had a shop update, and I got so lucky. I got a one-of-a-kind DK and a hint of moss, which is so beautiful. A hat, mitts, I don't know, something like that. Then I got a skein on her blitzed of her black pearl. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. Beautiful. And it's not black, so it's black and you know, it's almost a grays with, it's just beautiful. And then I got her Gatsby base with fairy hair. Now this doesn't look like her regular fairy hair because it's non-superwash, which means I am terrified to knit out of it because I'm going to have to babysit it. Whatever I knit this into, of course I could always just like put them on display in something because they're just so beautiful. But it's caked, it's ready. I need a project for it. I need a one skein project. This I will need a one skein project for. This I'm gonna need a one skein project for. So I have to start thinking about these, because one skein projects, normally I buy 2 of everything, but I spent the wad on these things for me, and this is before she switched to her ball bands. I'm glad she did that. But I love them all, and I love them so much. And I thought about pairing them with somebody else's yarn, but then that didn't work either. And then I thought about that, but that isn't quite my cup of tea. So I don't know. So I have to think about it. So that's my stash appreciation. The next thing is my waiting for rain shawl. And because I dye yarn, I knit with my yarn, not because, oh, I'm knitting with the yarn I dyed, and y'all have to see this. It's because, you know, before I sell We shall sell no yarn until we have knit with it. Obviously, every colorway is not a possibility. I know Metacroft Dye Works has done it, and I just love that. It flips on their page. I just love that. You really see what it looks like, because their yarn's all hand painted. They do a different process than I do. So I have these 2 Torch Lake singles undyed right now. And there's a colorway that I have been thinking of. I've kind of played with some colored pencils and looked at some dyes and then put the dyes down on paper, although it's not exactly the same on watercolor paper, with a little bit of water just to see, pulled out to see how they kind of go together and what would happen. Although it's different when they're in the citric and if you have high heat and if you break them or whatever. So I'm going to dye these up for a Waiting for Rain shawl in a colorway that's new. I'll do it at the same time with a couple others, usually 3 or 4 to a lot. So I really get to play with it. And they're singles. It's a non-plied yarn. It's 100% merino, and it's a wash. And it's just delightful feeling yarn. It's just got a snuggly softness to it. So I thought about, I kind of want, the Waiting for Rain shawl is knit using a gray, but I really wanted like a blue, gray, bluer, not gunmetal, not, I don't know quite what, but I've got it down to a couple different things, so I'm going to see what happens with that. So I'll do that probably this weekend, because I haven't been able to get into the dye pots the last couple of weeks, because starting the business turned out to be more trouble than I thought it would be. I mean, I knew it was going to be, it's not trouble, it's a joy, most of it. Some of it is a bit of a headache. Just gotta say, being honest. So, I think that's sort of everything for the week. As far as new yarn, I do have a couple of new yarns that I got in, and I didn't grab them before the podcast, so now I can't show them to you. And one of them I have a problem with because I only got 1 skein of it, and I wish I'd gotten 2. So next week I'll have something else to show you, because I'm going to be getting yarn next week. So that does bring me to the shop update portion. We'll do this, then we're going to do some blather, blah, blah, blather, and then we'll go from there. The colorways I'm showing you now are going to be in the shop on a permanent basis, unless I decide to not do them anymore, which will happen. Colorways come, colorways go. None of these are one-of-a-kinds. And I'm going to have a contest soon too. I cannot announce the contest today, and the reason I cannot announce the contest is one of the prizes is going to be a book by Françoise or Frenchie Denoy, and it's her, and I'll insert a photograph of the cover of the book here. It's called Forming Shawls and Their Shapes or Their Charts, and I'll have to put that in here in the notes. And I'm going to give that book away. I'm buying it from her, and I haven't been able to get it from her, and I haven't been able to work out the logistics because Frenchie lives in Japan. And she was near the epicenter of the last earthquake, big one. And the email she put out, frankly, to all of her followers the other day said that she hasn't slept well. So I don't want to pass to her right now. And she's super nice, super kind. Aurora Knits. Her book is, even if you don't design patterns, will give you an insight into shawl shaping that I didn't have before. I've taken a lot of classes on how to create shawls, but I just didn't have the math quite right. And her book is tremendous, and I'm actually writing a pattern now, and I'm very excited about this. But I mean, who knows? Who knows how long this is going to take? There's no guarantees or promises here, but it was so much fun to read the book. And it lit a fire under me, and it was great. So I want to give that book away. I want to purchase the book because, you know, I'm a published author, although I don't write in the knitting realm, and I don't make a living at it, and I haven't written for a couple, well, I'm writing now, but I'm changing to a young adult arena, which is a different style than romance. So I won't be able to announce the contest this week. It's going to be next week, but I can tell you what 2 of the prizes are besides the book. Once I have all the logistics, how I'm going to get the book, get it, and get it to you. So the other 2 prizes are going to be my Lake Superior sock, which is a 4-ply sock, high layers on the wall colorway. It's one of my favorite colorways to knit socks out of. It just has these fun pops and runs of color, and it does flash and pull a little bit, I'm going to be honest, but you can expect that the way this is. It's not reskeined. The other one is going to be an MCN fingering Stolen Souls. This particular skein of Stolen Souls. It is what I knit my lattice shawl out of, and it is a pleasure to knit with, and it is just delightfully squishy. This is perfect on size 1 needles. So in order to enter this contest, you can start entering now, and anyone that's already done this has already entered. Introduce yourself on the Rodeo Fiber Ravelry thread, or leave a comment below. If you're international, don't worry about it. 1 prize per person. I'm going to announce the winner down my random number generator, or kid reaching into a fishbowl, on the, this is the 22nd, not the first podcast in May, the 3rd podcast in May. So it's almost a month from now. So, yeah. Talk more about that next week. A shop update tonight. I'm just going to announce there's going to be usual colorways that go in, plus 3 new ones, of course, Stolen Souls. I have a couple of oaks of highlighters on the walls that had some peach in them that I'm not thrilled with, that I'm not going to be making unless, of course, people like them, and then I'll make them, but, you know, right now they're not my favorites. So the first one is, I've done rose petal carpet now on all my bases. So rose petal carpet will be available on all my bases. This is the Isle Royal Fingering MCN base. And then this is, I talked about JJ Likes Yellow. This is the JJ Likes Yellow colorway. I'll have this. This is in my Lake Michigan sock base, which is a 2-ply sock base, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. Love it. And it's fun to knit with. And JJ likes yellow. He likes yellow. And this is just the perfect amount of yellow and yellow gold for him. And so this was really a JJ 11-year-old kid with dyspraxia inspired colorway. So bless him for doing that for me and helping me with that. And it was really fun to work with him that day and have him pick out the colors of yellow, and because, you know, I have more than one yellow, and he enjoyed that. That was fun for him. We had to test it out in a couple of different bases, mini skeins, so that he could see what it would look like, because, you know, I have to have the perfect one. He's going to have his name on it. And any colorway that's named after a kid, there's a small amount of money that goes into the college fund. It's like $1 a skein. It's not much, but it's helpful to them. It's a family business. So the next colorway that's going to be in the permanent line is, and I didn't know what to name this until Never Would I Ever happened. Never would I ever get in a car loaded with stuff and drive to Disney World with my children. My sister-in-law did that, and I admire Cindy for that incredibly. You do not understand. This is honest admiration. This is not made up admiration. This is, they would leave me somewhere in Toledo, which is not even 2 hours from here, by the side of the road, because they would have driven me crazy, and they would vote me off out of the van. I mean, it would be like that. We're voting Mom out of the van, okay? Now, all right? Plus, my child with autism would rather just like be stung by a billion bees than go to Disney World, and he's allergic, so that's how he feels about it. So I would fly on an airplane, but I would never, but that's out of reach right now, so never would I ever, okay? This year, I'm taking the 11-year-old to Cedar Point with the 2 older ones, and my child with autism is staying home with Grandma. So this is blue for her son Reese, pink for her daughter Lola, yellow for the happy joy of going to Disney World because they had to have felt it, and then green for the inevitable. Mom, I don't feel so good. That happened. I'm sure. She is a brave woman, and never would I ever. Never would I ever do that, but it's a beautiful colorway. I like it. And the last one that I want to introduce is I got into the show Dark Matter last year, and I didn't think I'd like it, and I was always kind of on the fence about it until the last show, and then I was like hooked. And it was coming back in March, and they didn't come back. I was like, what if they canceled it? No, I need to know the answers to all these questions, please. Now. Yesterday. So, the basic premise of Dark Matter is it's these people wake up in a ship, they have no memory, all the memories have been wiped out, you find out more information, and it's coming back in June. So if you wake up in a ship and you have a bunch of people and you don't know why you're there and all your memories have been erased, they're not a waste. You're in a galactic ship of fools. Galactic ship of fools. Doesn't that look like a galactic ship of fools? And I'm hoping this season I can have galactic ship of purpose. They're going around the galaxy, their little galaxy in their little universe trying to figure out what's going on. They're going to get their memories back, trying to do the right thing. I'm not going to wreck it. It's still out there. It's worth watching. And, of course, there's going to be lots of eventually Warehouse 13 because it's one of those shows that I can watch forever. Also, I've seen The Fifth Element like 350 times and I can't stop watching it, so. I also like the movie Down Periscope. I'm embarrassed. I said it. I do. I watched it again last night. So these will be my new colorways for this week. There'll be other Stolen Souls up. Colors on the wall up. And of course, JJ likes yellow. We've gone back and forth between JJ likes and JJ loves yellow. I think it's JJ likes yellow. JJ loves mud puddles. He likes yellow. So that's kind of everything for this week. In general blatheriness, gossip for you. I had a phone call during this podcast. That's why there's a cut in, cut out in a very weird way near the end. It wasn't who I thought it was. I was hoping and praying and hoping it was my son telling me he had won this poetry contest he's entered. He should have called by now. He wrote a poem that was supposed to inspire somebody to think outside the box. And I'm going to read it to you with his permission when we find out the status of it. I'm a writer, and so when he said, I need you to listen to this, I thought, oh no, because I am super critical as a reader when I read other people's stuff. My writing is not perfect, but my looking for mistakes is now, thank you to my editor Jewel, who is wonderful by the way, honed to this biscuity level of he said, no. You should be able to tell who's speaking by what they're saying and descriptions. And he read the poem. And I was crying. And he said, is it that bad? And I'm like, I don't have any notes. No notes. It's perfect. There's some rhyming, which isn't my thing, but unless it's Susie and rhyme, I love Susie and rhyme. But it was incredibly personal, touching, and moving. And I hope he wins, because he deserves. And the hope, if he doesn't win, the poem that beats it is amazing, because it was a really good poem. It was really everything they asked for and more, and just perfect. It wasn't too much, it wasn't too little, it was just well thought out, and it was very hot topic. Timely, topical, edgy, everything that my son Zach is. My other son, who attends cosmetology school, he didn't ask anyone to the prom. He's 19, he's about to graduate. And his regular school in the morning, then he goes to cosmetology school in the afternoon. So he walked in the other day, and this is testing week, all week to see if they can go on the floor, and he's very stressed out because he didn't do perfectly and everything. He did okay in nails. He passed his nail test. My nails are looking good. He didn't do mine for the test, did mine to practice on. He walks into school, and he's the only guy, and he's straight. You know, I do have a son who happens to be gay. This is not the son. People think the son in cosmetology school. No, he's there for meet girls. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. I'm almost sure of it. He's good, but I'm sure that girls are part of the reason he's there. There's a girl that's had a crush on him for a long time. And she's really beautiful. Uber gorgeous. He walked into school, and all of the senior classes lining the hallways. I'm like, great, they're here to like wish us luck on our floor tests. And one by one, they start holding up signs. Dear Gene, and I know I don't have this perfect, he likes all my stories told exactly as they were, and I can't do this because I wasn't there. Will you go to the prom with Becky? Got promposaled. And all of a sudden I went from, great, I've got extra money in May, to, how am I going to pay the bills? Not quite that bad. But oh my goodness, now I have to think about things like a tux, because he was not going to prom. He wasn't going to ask anybody, he wasn't going to prom. But at the end of this was this girl. She was talking to this by her friends, and they made a big thing out of it. And I'm sure he turned completely red and was incredibly flattered. And he's so adorable. And he's just like telling everybody the story, because I think he's very, very excited, and I am very excited for him. And he just had his birthday. He's gonna have his birthday Tuesday. He'll be 19. I've just been married 22 years too, by the way. Happy anniversary, honey. 22 years, I wouldn't change it. I really wouldn't. And another 22 is fine. That's why your name's on my wrist, because after 22 years, probably stay married. And I could always have it laser removed. I'm kidding. So now I have to get a tux for the kid. I'm thinking, can I just buy him a suit, because he is 19, he's going to be graduating hospitality school, he is going to need to go out and get a job, and he is going to want a suit for interviews. Even if it's not, you know, an uber expensive suit. He's going to want to look nice, because he likes to look nice. So that's what's happening in Michigan, in Ann Arbor this week. And as for me, I have a knitting group on Sunday I'm going to for the first time. I met them a couple weeks ago, but it's every other Sunday, so I'm going this weekend. Got me an invite, so excited. And it's raining, but it's spring, and it's beautiful. And now I get to spend the next several hours editing this, and hopefully I won't delete everything. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Show notes are below, links below, and don't be afraid to comment, rate, and subscribe, because I'd really like that. It'd really make me know what you like and what you don't. And that's kind of the way it is. So thank you very much. I really enjoy doing this. The podcast is really, really fun. The editing, but the podcast is really, really fun. And I like showing off what I do. I'd like to do a special on dyeing yarn with allergies in a couple weeks. There's lots of really wonderful, wonderful shows out there that talk about dyeing yarn and business. And you should look at them if you're interested in dyeing. But if you have an allergy, latex is a problem, because you do want to keep using masks. So I do want to talk about that. And I was going to talk about Highland Handmaids podcast, but I'm going to wait on that until next week, because this has run way over where I plan to be. And like I said, editing is never a short process with me. It's just the way it is. Thank you for watching the Rodeo Fiesta. Have a great week. And wherever you are, may your knitting bring you incredible joy, and your sewing bring you no seam rippers. No seam ripping, because you're doing it right. Or if you seam rip, it's a place that you can go that you're peaceful, and just gotta do it. Gotta do it. Might as well face it. Gotta do it. Thank you, and TT then.